I didn't grift that film, and you can't prove I did. And if I said I did, you'd slap that fourth rap across my teeth no matter what promises you made.
Do you know what treason means?
Who cares?
Answer the man!
Is there a law now I gotta listen to lectures?
So after seeing a preview of 1953's Pickup on South Street, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover demanded a meeting with Fox head honcho Darryl F. Zanuck and the film's director Samuel Fuller, during which he voiced his pretty strong opinions and objections to the unpatriotic nature of the film, particularly its anti-hero Skip, played brilliantly here by a snarling Richard Widmark, whose desire to make a buck comes first, even when he realises he's dealing with the dreaded communists. And to Hoover's annoyance, ultimately no changes were made to the film, at the cost of all references to the FBI being removed from the film's advertising, posters, etc. It turned out to be a good deal because it still leaves Pickup on South Street as one of the most morally ambiguous, grimiest and greatest noir thrillers that any studio has given us. Let's take a look. So, Skip McCoy, played by the great Richard Widmark, is a small-time pickpocket who's recently been released from prison but just can't help himself as he's soon back plying his trade on the subway. In possibly still the cinema's greatest and possibly most erotic pickpocket scene, he eases a wallet out of a lady's purse in a crowded carriage, not knowing the lady is under observation by government agents who are waiting to see where she delivers the contents of her purse to.
What happened?
I'm not sure yet.
And so the pickpocket victim, Candy, an immaculate Jean Peters, then can't make the drop and has to break the bad news to her communist boyfriend. The agents have their sting literally snatched away from them, and McCoy finds himself with a piece of microfilm containing some kind of secret formula that both the law and the communists will do anything to get. Now, the brilliant and controversial for the time thing that Widmark's McCoy doesn't do is become an American hero and team up with the feds to fight the Reds. What he does do is continually keep the cops chasing their tails whilst he attempts to extort $25,000 from the communists in exchange for their microfilm. And where things get really complex is when Candy is used to put her ample charms to the task of retrieving said microfilm, one way or another, something Widmark initially doesn't take kindly to. Now, I'm a big Richard Widmark fan, and I think this is probably his best role. Widmark's got that great sneer to his face that's perfect for his character here, and Fuller's screenplay continually feeds him glorious dialogue to chew on.
I'd like to make this rap stick, but what he's got to do is more important.
Well, you boys are talking in the wrong corner. I'm just a guy keeping my hands in my own pockets.
If you refuse to cooperate, you'll be as guilty as the traitors that gave Stalin the Aba.
Are you waving a flag at me?
Jean Peters, who didn't really do much acting, and I think the only other film I know her from was that same year's underrated Marilyn Monroe thriller Niagara. Here she could easily have been a stereotypical film noir dame, but she rises above that and mostly gives as good as she gets, although she truly gets put through the ringer for her troubles here.
Where does he live? Where does he live?
So Widmark and Peters are great for sure, but the actual star of Pickup on South Street is the late great Thelma Ritter as stool pigeon Moe, who frequently turns up to completely steal the movie out from beneath everybody.
Did you get a good look at the grifter?
Yes. Medium height.
Medium. Short, tall, light, dark, fat, skinny. Thousands of cannons look like that.
She's the more human and world-weary face of the film, and she's also out to make some money, but for her it's to pay for a half-decent funeral. Ritter's really excellent in this, which for her isn't saying a great deal, as this was probably her golden era. Between 1951 and 1963, Ritter was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. She's actually one of the most nominated actors who never actually won the award. Anyway, it's the treatment of Moe and of Candy that ultimately gets Widmark's pickpocket to look past his own self-interest, not some newfound patriotism. He'll ultimately do the right thing, but his disdain for authority remains pretty much intact. I think Pick Up on South Street was the first of 2 movies Widmark made with Fuller. The other was the following year's Hell and High Water, which I'm sure I haven't seen, but this film finds him in that perfect anti-heroic part.
Skip, the way I feel about you, I wouldn't lie to you. You gotta believe me.
I gotta believe nobody. I'll do business with a Red, but I don't have to believe one.
Guys, I'm Stephen at Real Classic Film Reviews. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, then hit that little red button to stay up to date with unboxings, updates and reviews of films from all eras and genres. And hit that like button if you're a fan of this little Cold War gem. So Pick Up on South Street plays into the paranoia of communism spreading into the US, but writer-director Samuel Fuller doesn't really focus too heavily on it and instead puts his focus more on the characters and their motivations. We don't get too bogged down in the politics of the whole thing. The entire script is filled with some great stylish dialogue that's quintessentially film noir, with everyone trying to outwit each other in order to get what they want. Listening to Widmark or Ritter every time they speak to the cops are some of the standout scenes.
Who's the creep? What's he in for? He looks like a second-story cat thief. I got a polka dot job that was just made for your personality, Tiger.
We gotta get quick action.
Everything around here is always an emergency.
And the film is right up there for me with Samuel Fuller's best work. It might be his best work. And as mentioned earlier, the way he shot his pickpocket scenes are almost like love scenes. It's also a very claustrophobic film, and there's certainly some external locations, but there's a lot of tight close-ups between characters and a lot of confined spaces. Widmark's character actually lives in some sort of tiny shed on the waterfront, and there's moments in it that are so tense. A famous one being a chilling scene of a tired and beaten down Mo coming face to face with Candy's communist handler.
Look, mister, I'm so tired. You'd be doing me a big favor if you'd blow my head off.
It's also a short 80-minute movie that doesn't waste a second of its running time. This would actually make a good companion piece to Kiss Me Deadly, which would come out a couple of years later. Both films have a bit of a schmuck who uncovers a dark secret that could impact the world. Both are hard-boiled Cold War spy film noir thrillers. This one's an exciting, provocative, macho 50s action thriller, atmospherically and imaginatively handled by an especially on-form director, Samuel Fuller. Go check it out.
Come on, let's get out of here. Well, ain't you even gonna say goodbye, Tiger?